Most Australians spend 40 years working to earn $85,000 a year. Some Australians have set things up so $85,000 arrives every year whether they work or not. The gap between those two groups is not luck, not inheritance, and not a higher salary. It is knowing which 6 paths exist and choosing one early enough to let it build. Today I am going to show you all 6, the exact amount of money each one requires, the real risk attached to each one, and the one path most people completely overlook that actually gets the majority of Australians there faster than any of the others. Stay until path 5. That is the one that changes how most people think about this entirely. Let's go. Path 1. Government bonds. The safest option in the country. Australian government bonds currently yield approximately 4.9% per year. To generate $85,000 a year in bond interest, you need approximately $1.74 million invested. The money sits there. The government pays you interest. You never need to watch a market ticker again. Sounds perfect, but here is what most people do not think about. Bond interest is taxed at your full marginal rate. No franking credits, no discount, nothing. If you are in the 37% tax bracket, you do not need $1.74 million to generate $85,000 after tax. You need closer to $2.4 million because the ATO takes its share first, and inflation does not pause for your bond portfolio. The $85,000 that funds your life today buys meaningfully less in 15 years. Your capital stays frozen at the same dollar value while prices rise around it. Safe? Yes. Quietly losing ground every year? Also yes. Path 2. Dividend income. The Australian advantage. This is the path most Australians find most appealing, and for good reason, because we have something almost no other country has. Franking credits. When an Australian company pays tax on its profits, it passes that tax credit directly to shareholders. The ASX 200 average dividend yield sits around 3.5 to 4%. But once franking credits are included, the grossed-up yield pushes to approximately 5 to 5.5%. High-yield dividend ETFs like VHY can push that grossed-up figure closer to 6 to 7% in the right conditions. To generate $85,000 a year from a diversified dividend portfolio at 5.5%, you need approximately $1.55 million invested. Here is the catch that most dividend content skips over. Dividends are not guaranteed. During the COVID downturn of 2020, the major Australian banks slashed their dividends almost overnight. Investors who built their entire income plan around CBA and Westpac found their annual income cut in half with no warning. Diversification across at least 50 to 100 companies through an ETF dramatically reduces that risk. One company can disappoint you. A whole index almost never collapses simultaneously. The other risk is concentration. The ASX is heavily weighted toward banks and miners. When those sectors struggle, dividend income falls across the board even in a diversified portfolio. Understanding that concentration is part of building a resilient income stream. Path 3. The 4% rule. Total return investing. Most financial independence researchers in Australia use this approach. You build a diversified portfolio of Australian and international shares. Each year you withdraw 4% of the total balance, adjusted for inflation. To pull $85,000 a year using the 4% rule, you need $2.125 million. That number is larger than paths 1 and 2. But here is why it is smarter. You are not dependent on dividends alone. You are drawing from total returns, capital growth plus income combined. Your portfolio keeps compounding even while you draw from it. A split of approximately 40% Australian shares for franking credits plus 60% global shares for international growth gives you exposure to the best of both markets simultaneously. The drawback is sequence of returns risk. If markets fall significantly in the first few years of your retirement, you are selling assets at low prices to fund your lifestyle. That compressed starting base can permanently reduce your future compounding. The solution is holding 2 to 3 years of living costs in cash before you begin drawing, so a market downturn means you spend the cash and leave the portfolio untouched to recover. Path 4. Aggressive growth. Higher risk, faster target. The ASX has returned approximately 9% per year over the long run including dividends. If you are willing to accept a portfolio that could drop 20 to 30% in a bad year without abandoning the strategy, you can draw at a higher rate. At 5% withdrawal, you need $1.7 million. At 6%, just under $1.42 million. Smaller number. Real danger. The danger is sequence of returns risk amplified. Someone who retired in late 2007 with $1.5 million and drew 6% annually watched their portfolio fall below $900,000 by early 2009, while still withdrawing $85,000 a year. Many people in that exact position never financially recovered because they were forced to sell at the bottom. The only reliable buffer against this outcome is the same one from path 3. Hold cash. Do not draw from falling assets. Give the portfolio time to recover. Path 5. The one most people skip. Here is the myth bust this entire topic needs. Most content on passive income treats the income target as fixed, $85,000 a year. Full stop. But the most direct path to financial freedom for most Australians is not finding a way to generate a higher income. It is reducing what they actually need. If you can build a genuinely full life on $60,000 a year, your target drops from $2.125 million to $1.5 million. If your home is paid off and your fixed costs are low, your number might be $50,000, which requires $1.25 million. The gap between $1.25 million and $2.125 million is $875,000. That is not a minor difference. That is potentially 5 to 10 years of additional working life to build a number you did not actually need. The Australians who reach financial freedom earliest are almost never the ones who built the biggest income. They are the ones who built clarity around what they actually need and aimed precisely at that number rather than a socially imposed one. Stop when you hit your number, not when you hit someone else's. Path 6. Superannuation. The accelerator most Australians underuse. From the 2025-26 financial year, the concessional contributions cap sits at $30,000 per year including employer contributions. If your employer pays the standard superannuation guarantee of 11.5% on a $90,000 salary, they contribute approximately $10,350. You have room to personally contribute another $19,650 and claim the entire personal contribution as a tax deduction. That money enters super taxed at 15% instead of your marginal rate. For someone in the 37% bracket, the tax saving on $19,650 is approximately $4,320 in a single year. Once inside super in pension phase after preservation age, the investment returns and income are tax-free. Dividends, capital gains, interest, all of it. The tax environment inside a super pension account is the most favorable legal structure available to any Australian investor. The carry-forward rule makes this even more powerful if you have not contributed extra to super in recent years. Unused concessional cap from the past 5 financial years can be combined into one larger contribution in a single year, provided your super balance was under $500,000 on the previous the 30th of June. Someone who has 5 years of unused caps available could potentially contribute significantly above the standard annual limit in one tax year and claim the whole amount as a deduction. Super does not exist in isolation from the other 5 paths. The most effective strategy for most Australians combines super as the tax-efficient holding structure with dividend ETFs or total return investments inside it, capturing both the franking credit benefit of Australian shares and the tax-free environment of pension phase simultaneously. So here is how all 6 connect. Paths 1 through 4 are about the investment vehicle. Bonds, dividends, total return, aggressive growth. Each requires a different capital base and carries a different risk profile. Path 5 is about the target, knowing your actual number rather than assuming it. Path 6 is about the structure that makes every other path more efficient. The Australians who reach $85,000 a year without working are not the ones who found the highest returning investment. They are the ones who picked a path, built toward it consistently over time, used the available structures intelligently, and knew precisely what number they were aiming for. Start tonight, not with a full portfolio, with one question: what does my life actually cost? Work backwards from that. Build forward from your current position. The gap between the two is your plan. If this gave you clarity on a path that is actually achievable for you, hit the like button and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.